We good? Everybody on? Okay. All right, this is the regular Town of Woodbridge Board of Finance meeting. It's Thursday, January 18th. And first item is public comments, and there's no one here. So second is Tony.
Thank you, Matt. The monthly report for the first half of the fiscal year is a surplus of just under $250,000. So we're at just about 11% for our fund balance as a percentage of our annual expenditures for the year. So some highlights for you this month. Interest income is it's generated surplus of about $60,000 this year. The intergovernmental revenue is a reduction of about $300,000. That's as of the latest information we have from the state of Connecticut. Most of that is elimination of the revenue sharing grant and reduction of ECS. That's where a lot of that comes from. Other revenues, as we discussed earlier, we received a large surplus from Amity of $561,000. You can set this any way you choose in terms of setting the budget. But in this projection, I reserved $220,000 for next year's budget, which is what we have reserved in this year's budget. So you don't see a reduction in next year's budget. And the rest is just revenue, is unbudgeted revenue in the current year. So the $340,000 adds to the surplus for the current year. You could switch it. You can recognize it all this year and have a huge, $220,000 shortfall next year. Or you can say, I think we'll put more next year to help with the budget, and you can mix it however you want.
Okay. Could you explain the Amity School District piece as long as you're talking about Amity?
Yep. So the Amity District, so that was last year's operations.
Right.
Okay, so what happens is they, FY17 operations, they have audited, and so then we usually get it in like December after their audit is finished. And so that's what happened in this case. And so we get it in the following year. So FY17 operations we receive in fiscal year 18, and then typically we don't apply that to fiscal year 19.
We've always done it that way.
That's how we've always done it, right? But what also has happened this year, which is unusual, was in the budget process, the governor had recommended that the excess cost grants all go to the town. Okay. Currently, we received the excess cost grant funding, but the regional school districts received their own funding.
Correct.
Right. So in the budget process, the governor had suggested that we receive everything, which means that Amity would have roughly $1 million. If they had budgeted for it, they would have $1 million shortfall. So they didn't budget because during their budget process at that time, they weren't sure they were going to receive it. So because they did not budget for that grant revenue to be received, they had to increase our contributions by the town contributions because they were not going to receive this money from Hartford, so they thought. Well, as it turns out, after they passed their budget, we passed our budget. As you all know, didn't wait to happen until October. The state finally passed their budget, and in that budget, they kept the excess cost process the same. So now Amity is now receiving their excess cost grant funding, which means they have a surplus of town revenue for the current year. So they are reducing our allocation based on the amount of money that they anticipate that they will receive an excess cost grant. It's sort of a moving target, depends on what their expenditures are. It's like 4.5 times, you know how that works. It's like.
So we have an extra $178,000 that
we don't have to pay them.
Right.
So instead we'll pay them $178,000 less this year than we.
Right. But we did raise the taxes.
Correct.
To cover this.
You did.
Well, Amity's budget was higher.
Now, on the flip side of that.
Higher than it should have been.
And that's correct, which plays into next year's budget. I can get to that in a minute. But what we could have possibly done during the budget process, we chose not to do it, was we could have recognized that revenue in the town, for the excess cost grant. But we weren't sure they were going to, it was sort of no one was really sure what was going on.
Nobody knew what they were going to do.
Yeah. Right.
So it's all, now it's all.
So, right. That's,
but at least
we're pretty
we know what's going
risk-averse,
on.
and so we're not going to take a chance.
Right.
Right.
And in addition to that, I think Amity's budget increase was 1.9, but they over-recognize revenue again.
Right.
So it's down, because of that, it's gonna be, the increase to us as a town is gonna be 0.54%.
Right, so if you follow that through, the base of which they're starting their increase,
Right.
it's too high.
Yeah.
Because they collected too much.
Not their fault.
Not their fault,
No, no,
right? No.
Right.
But because it's higher because of that grant issue, the budget to budget number is only 0.54%.
Right. So that's gonna make for a
You know,
much
like, because the
easier
base
budget
is
year. When you
higher than
consider- I think it's a $73,000 increase
Right.
to Woodbridge, and we're adding back 300 and something thousand or whatever.
Right.
So,
Right.
Right, but I guess my point is it's actually over $500,000 if
Yeah.
you add in this 178,000.
Right, that's correct.
What's
Okay.
that again, Sandy? It's what?
So it's actually $518,711 that we have back.
From the school.
From the school.
That's correct. Yeah.
but the good news again is that with the way we're set up at Amity, it's all there for us.
Sure.
It's all.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Chip is coming in Tuesday. He's doing his budget. He wants to do it with the Board of Selectmen too. So
Really?
yeah, he's presenting at 6 o'clock Tuesday,
That's great.
and
It
yeah,
is, yeah.
everybody's going to get to hear him. So which is
Terrific.
good. We usually he just comes to the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Later after the
Very,
process.
very.
So
late
while
in the
we're
process,
planning,
yeah. Okay.
our biggest part of our budget is usually not till March or, so now we have a better idea.
We're gonna load it up front
Yeah,
with the heavy
All
hitters.
good news. All good news from Amity.
yeah,
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
okay.
Then you were on expenses. You didn't finish this.
Oh, yeah, I just have one
I
more to do.
interrupted you.
Yeah, no problem. Board of Education was just under $100,000 deficit, which was down from the previous month. And so that's good. And benefits has a surplus of about $50,000, and largely due to savings in workers' compensation. And so we did well with our bidding, and also when we get our workers' comp audited. So the way it works is at the beginning of the year, we have to submit projected salaries, projected payroll, because it's all based off your payroll. Like when you have workers' compensation, you pay more per dollar for, say, a police officer or a volunteer fire or a, public works than you would for an office staff. So we have to estimate what our payroll is, and then you do an audit. And so part of it is we receive money back from an audit, plus our bids. We did well in our bidding. So.
Great.
Any questions for Tony on that? Woodbridge Board of Ed, I'm sure you'll cover this, Sandy.
Yeah, it's a little offset to the reduced savings.
Okay. Reminder, we're meeting next Tuesday, next Thursday, and the following Tuesday, and we're pretty hopeful we won't need that extra meeting. Right?
I just want to mention the audit.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
It's obviously done.
yeah, obviously. And Scott Bassett will be here next Thursday, right, to present.
Okay.
So, and you have 3 documents here. You have the comprehensive financial report, the state and federal compliance report. This year, I think it's just state because we didn't meet the federal threshold for grants. And then the report to the Board of Finance. And in Woodbridge, the Board of Finance is the audit committee. Some towns have separate audit committees, but in Woodbridge, it's the Board of Finance. So the Board of Finance is responsible to manage the audit and is the responsible body for the audit. So it has in there all the communications that we had. If there was a weakness, it would have it in here, which there is not. If there were audit comments, they would be in here, which there are none. And that's pretty much it. Okay. So, I mean, Scott will go through the audit, and you can, if you have any questions.
Any other?
No, that's it.
Come back, we'll give it a come back.
Right, okay.
Okay, funding requests. The first one is government access television, and I think those of you who have watched it, there is definitely an audio problem, and that's what Pooh is trying to straighten out here, I believe. So it's a line item transfer, and it's a revenue item that we're moving into technical. And if you read Pooh's explanation, it's basically to hopefully have an audio solution So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1718-07 in the amount of $2,588.25.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next. Line item transfer, this is just to move a donation into the district animal control for, I guess, for construction. So it's just really a movement of money. So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1718-08 in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Those are easy.
You sign them as you go, huh?
Yeah. Are you signing afterwards?
I did them the next day. It's too much paperwork. Our packets are like that.
Okay, and the next is, it's a line item transfer to cover the salary of hiring a communications director and grant writer. That person, for those of you who don't know, being Sheila McCrevin. And it's a $29.5, and I guess we're funding it through that insurance savings you were telling us about.
Yeah, so the savings is actually closer to $80,000.
Right.
This is 30 of it is for this, and then 50 goes back to the general fund.
Okay, so to get it into discussion, I will move acceptance of the line item transfer 1718-09 in the amount of $29,500.
Second.
Okay. Beth, you just want to make a
I
statement
would
on
make
this?
it brief. I can
I know this
answer
is-
questions if anyone has
Yeah.
any, but sure, I presented it last week to the Board of Selectmen and it was approved. As you know, when Betsy walking,
Yeah.
thank you. We have Betsy's and everybody's all over the town. I have to Betsy Ryan. When Sheila assumed Betsy's workload while she was out on maternity leave, and it became clear to me over 6 months that she brought a really different wealth of experience and talent that would help me and our board complete a lot of the initiatives I've had. I'll speak to my initiatives further during my first selectmen's report because we got a lot done last week. She has experience in project management, communications, and information technology. She also has good wealth of experience in grant writing, and prior to coming into this job, I had thought for a while that we really don't do enough grant writing, and certainly now with the state cutting back, and we have to look to other sources of funding. And Sheila, when she was at Yale, worked with NIH and CDC in grant funding positions. She's also familiar with grant requirements and reporting, and just in the last week, we found 3 grants for her to get started on. One of them is a $250,000 grant to the Wiederhold Foundation for our shelter, and 2 others that just came through today. So she's going to start working on those. She's going to be so overwhelmed. It's amazing. That's all of her job. So I feel I need this position. We all need this position. And so far, she's been a wonderful asset to the town and to me. And as I said, it was approved last week at the Board of Selectmen. And if you have any questions for me, I'm here.
When was the last time we had anybody write any grants besides the steep grants? Because you took responsibility for
Right.
those.
We do this. Yeah, I do the steep grants, and occasionally there's an open space grant. Those come along very infrequent.
Well,
Police
we're
does a
sitting here-
few.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the police do a few public,
Little.
specific, smaller public safety grants. That's pretty much it.
While we were sitting here last week at the Board of Selectmen meeting, Cirque made a presentation, and he offered to help us write grants for economic development. I said, nope, we don't need that service. We just hired someone. So it was sort of fortuitous. the
Would she be
timing.
able to help you, Tony, with some of those?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. She would help with those, but there's
You have enough
also.
things on your plate, too. so
Yeah, no, that
it'd
would be a
have,
big help. There are other grants that come up. There's hazard mitigation grants, there's brownfield grants, there's all kinds of grant opportunities that, if looked
I don't
into
think we take
further.
full advantage of it, and it's something I think that she'll probably make back her salary in the first grant she gets, plus some, so.
Those of you,
obviously
I'm
a
sure
lot
we all
more.
know Sheila, she's a very talented person.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine her not being an asset, so.
Well, that's what I'm asking is like, have we had this type of position before? It's not that, nothing I can remember.
And we got a lot
So-
of stuff from the state, but all of a sudden I'm concerned about all that with
Well,
what's going on
correct.
at the state,
Right,
and we have to look to other sources. And
Yeah.
one of the grants that I was looking at today was it came across my desk about combination museum and historical society grant. Well, we're thinking about putting Amity, the Woodbridge Amity Historical Society, in the old firehouse. That's an historical building. It seems, and they want to run a museum there. It's like a perfect application. So I shot it to Sheila. She said, it looks good. So,
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems
I'm
to me
excited
as
about it.
It's definitely worth trying.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's successful, then it will really bring us some new revenue to do things that we don't have to use tax money for.
right.
So,
Which is where I'm hearing every day that someone that pops by or calls me and says, please do something about my taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying.
That aren't going to be deductible anymore.
No, I know. And it probably is part of it, but everybody's paying it, so.
Any other questions, comments?
so you're calling it a communications director and grant writer in this request. In the contingency list, it's called special projects.
Oh, right. We
So
can-
I
What
think
she
it
was
should-
doing for
was-
the last 6
right.
months, but it's really,
You're right, we'll
Right,
change it.
so I
We
think
can
you should
change it.
change it in
Yep.
here to
yeah, I didn't
reflect
see
this
that. I
focus.
apologize.
Yep.
No,
Good
it's okay.
pickup. Thank you. It's a good thing we have a lot of eyes looking at
That's
us.
right, exactly.
Huh? Did I made a motion already? I need a second.
I seconded it,
Oh, you
yes.
seconded it? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
So I just want to make a quick comment on our contingency. So we're at
That's looking good.
185,000. The only possible, which should be no surprise to anybody,
Snow removal.
is snow removal and heat. Natural gas
Oh, yeah.
primarily, depending on how we do on our natural
That
Never
gas.
thought I'd be
period of time
happy
was a
when
lot.
it was snowing on weekdays versus weekends, but I am. Now that I'm sitting
Now,
here.
this little one yesterday wasn't too bad, right?
No.
And I heard the truck come by, but I don't think he was plowing. I think he was sanding.
No, wasn't too bad.
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking good there. I'm sure we're not that far behind, are we, on snow removal?
No.
It's just a
I'm
long winter, I know.
Correct.
It's only
you know,
January.
So we haven't even gotten to midpoint, we're maybe halfway through January.
I know.
Do you remember that
Crossed.
February that one year,
Exactly.
it snowed, well, it had to snow twice a week for like 6 weeks.
Remember that? Oh, man.
Oh, that year, we
And the
cleaned-
snow
we
was
cleaned out
so-
our contingency.
It did. It
And the
did.
snow was so high.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had never seen it like
Yeah.
that, ever.
So you never
Make
know.
sure Matt doesn't hit his reset.
Yeah, what am I reaching? What am I reaching?
You're right, Susan.
Then we're doomed.
I turned the whole town off.
Thanks.
Okay, minutes. We have our regular monthly meeting of November 16th, and I will move acceptance of the minutes as approved.
Second,
Any corrections, adjustments, whatever?
nice
Course,
job,
this was-
Karen.
As always.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye? And then we have the special town meeting to approve the $2.1 million bond for the radio communication system. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of Tuesday, December 5th, 2017 as presented.
Someone else for a second?
Paul, okay. Any corrections on this? I just want to clarify, a few people have asked me. The fact that we authorized this bond doesn't mean we've approved the project. People
That's
are really
correct.
confused about that. So
That's correct.
once the bidding goes in and other things,
Those have to get approved.
then
Correct.
it'll be a separate vote to approve the project.
Correct.
But for now, this is just authorizing, we have the money in place if we go for it, so. Okay, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, good. Approval of calendar year meeting dates. These are pretty standard, third Thursday of the months, and just take note of the one meeting that's really important is March 7th. That's when we do our recommendations, right, boss? Okay.
Hi, boss.
So yeah, definitely have March 7th available. So I'll move acceptance of the meeting dates for 2018 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye? Okay. Beth?
Thank you, Matt. Just give you some updates from last week's Board of Selectmen meeting related to my initiatives. There's several areas I'm working on. We had a presentation from CERC, Connecticut Economic Resource Council, and we've agreed at this point, we have money in the budget to do a couple things. The Board of Selectmen agreed to have them begin attending the Economic Development Commission meetings, which it's a great group of volunteers, and they're just that, and they need help getting some of the initiatives going. CERC is also probably not in this budget cycle, but begin to look at our grand list and figure out ways that we can grow our grand list. I mean, I think it's a real drill down, looking at our grand list. And so they'll be beginning to help us with growing economic development. Second thing is, we had a presentation from Mary Rayola, and I can't remember the other woman's name who came, but this is, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there's a possibility, and I think it's probably going to happen at the Amity Transition Program, which is a program for students ages 18 to 21 who need further education at the high school beyond usual age when people leave high school at 17, 18. And they're very interested in using the second floor of our old firehouse. And I believe you've already had one. The selectmen agreed, I guess, at the meeting to say they approve of the concept for the old firehouse. That building's been sitting there since 2006, so I'm very excited. We're beginning to maybe use it for a good function. And maybe, Tony, I don't know if you have anything new on
so we met and
with architects that have been working for a while on the need and the options for this building.
And Chip spoke and laid out his vision for the use of the space, and so the committee had some back and forth, and so we're going to come back. Our architect's going to come back with a plan and a budget for outfitting the space and making it fit within our budget. And Amity can help in two ways. First is they pay roughly $50,000 a student in their budget for this particular, and that's not including transportation. And there's 5 students, so they have $250,000 in their budget. And I guess they also have on staff skilled trades, which I didn't know until this meeting. Yeah. So they have some skilled trades people on staff that can help with some of the, perhaps do some in-kind labor to help offset some of the outfitting of the space so that we can get it to fit within our budget.
Right now, it's my understanding that the students travel on buses to other places, and this is right across the street. It's a perfect solution.
So we have $700,000 currently. It's $500,000 steep grant and $200,000 remaining in insurance proceeds. And to our budget currently for finishing the first floor and an elevator and not doing anything to the second floor is about $700,000. So the Amity needs to help figure out the puzzle pieces here if we don't want to contribute any more from the town.
Which I think they're willing to do.
Which they're willing to do.
They're very excited about that.
Yeah.
Because
it's right down the street.
Right.
It's
a natural.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to pay
Transportation
for
costs.
So there, that's the long and
put money
short
up
of
for
it.
the renovations.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So it's
And we finally get that building going.
yeah, lights will
Right,
be on,
Sandy?
right?
Yes.
I'm very excited about that. So, and I'll just tell you quickly, I mentioned about the Amity Woodbridge Historical Society. They're very interested. They have a lot of documents down at the Darling House, and they've, I think, are getting excited about bringing them over to, we found the probate vault is empty since Judge Hirschman moved out, and it's a perfect place for them to store their documents. And some of them are town documents that probably should be here anyway, and some of them are a lot of just very interesting documents. So they're thinking about coming to the space. I'm in negotiations. I think it's probably going to happen with them, and Tony and I are going to meet with them next week or the week after. I can't remember the dates, to come up with a plan and a program. But the front-facing, I guess it's called Bay 1, where the old fire truck is a perfect spot for a museum, what students could come to and, beat your kids, and they could display documents. They're thinking about how they want to do it. They're meeting tomorrow night, or maybe it's tonight, to come. I told them I'll talk to them. They just call my cell phone if they have questions. So they're coming up with a program and a plan. So it's very exciting there. So that's another thing that is going to happen. Maybe we can get them some grant money to help staff it and help them pay for some of the stuff. That being said, the radio committee, as you know, that the whole bond thing went through, and I appointed Joe Jai as the chairman of the radio committee, and Susan, thank you, from the Board of Finance has agreed to serve on it, and we may have a third person. Stay tuned. Talking to someone on Monday night, and I thank you both because you guys were 3 years with the first, so you've done Radio 101, now you're going to Radio 202.
Started with 2 cans and a piece of
And it's something that I don't think anybody wants to be brought up to speed again, so we just thought, oh my God. So thank you to both you and to Joe for agreeing to do that. Our IT contract was approved.
Right?
with, that's one of my, initiatives about doing sort of more vendor consolidation. So we have what, 5 out of how many,
So can you explain what that involves? Who's included in that?
So, and the IT contract includes all the locations here, with the exception of the firehouse. And they have an existing contract through June 30th, right?
so hopefully
it's-
they'll come back on,
it inclu-
beginning
let me
July
back up.
1st. Yeah.
The Amity contract includes a certain number of hours per week that we would use.
So it's with Amity.
Correct. So
Okay.
Amity's IT, the way we look at it is, that's our IT department. Like, there's no difference between us having our own IT department and using their IT department. It's
Right.
across the street, and if we need help, we call, and so it's a flat fee and a certain number of hours. And so long as we stay around that, 12 hours a week, I think that the fee is the same. If for some reason it's increased significantly or whatever, we sort of have to we're going to do a quarterly review of the program and see if it fits their needs and fits our needs. And
So does it include the police then?
includes the police department, the library, human services, animal control, all of our locations, including the fire department. It's just that they have a contract to use.
Right, and they can't usually.
Right.
So
But then starting
July
July
1.
1st, if with all those entities, we need
If it's working.
15 hours a week or 20 hours a week, we'll adjust it accordingly.
And this
If
was
we
as,
need 10,
and this was as opposed to going to an outside third party
Correct.
vendor and consolidating with other towns.
Correct.
So this way it's all still within
Yeah, and
campus.
that's correct. And because currently the way it works is the fire department has one vendor, we have a second vendor, and the police have an officer. So our
It seemed,
goal is to have Amity do everything, and
and it's costing us less.
it's costing us a
Which is-
great deal less. And also we should have some benefits to, equipment
Yeah,
and servers
absolutely.
and all that stuff.
Congratulations.
So,
And they've got,
Wonderful.
they've got talented people over there.
and we were impressed by their people they have and their presentation they made about their abilities and what they're going to help us do. And so,
Sandy's having a good night.
This is true.
All the things she's been talking about.
yeah.
So obviously,
I listened to you for many
talking
years.
about
I'm
IT
finally
services,
helping.
this is sort of, it's not just glitch, it's, what else? It's,
Like, what are they going to
I
do
mean-
for us?
right,
Okay, so one thing is the staff help desk. So if anybody has a problem, you call in, it's priority
That's
1,
what I
2, or
call
3.
glitch.
Yeah, that's glitch. Another thing is they're going to do is they're going to help us with, they'll do a walkthrough once a week. I thought that was a good idea.
right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you have an issue and someone walks through and you say, hey, while you're here, can you
Can I show you
can you
this?
show you, right?
Yeah, this has been bugging me for a long time.
They're going to help with, they're going to do an assessment of our equipment.
See, I think that's really
Yeah.
And then they were going to give us advice on life, how long you should keep it, and replacement plans and
Right.
what you should get.
So
and-
big picture,
Right,
glitch,
correct.
paying attention.
They're going to help us make sure we're up to date on all of our security and making sure that all of our security needs are being addressed. Backup plans are proper,
Right.
and we do all this now, but they're going to give us a second look and help with. We're at the point where if you remember last summer, we did funding for our servers. We haven't replaced those yet.
Right.
We were going to wait till Amity came on board. And the police department has, we heard this in the capital budget, I think. The police had money in their budget they need some servers. So maybe the answer is to put them all in one place and not have 3 different server locations. That's
Really
sort of the
helpful
idea.
to understand.
And
So we held
we're-
off on signing off on the service.
we're talking about,
They'll figure it out, trust me.
Right.
we were walking around with the Amity crew, and we were talking. They asked us about Wi-Fi. We don't have Wi-Fi in this building, and we have like hot spots right here, and where you can get it in certain spots. We don't have like a Wi-Fi set up. So I guess they have Wi-Fi in this high school,
Yeah.
but they have so many more computers that the Wi-Fi that they are going to be getting rid of would be more than adequate for what we need, because we only have a handful of computers. I mean, that kind of,
Sure.
That's great.
Just take it.
Really?
Give it to us, right?
And the other 2 participatory towns don't care about this because actually we're paying for the service.
that's what I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Right.
Well, I think Bethany could use some help too. So they might want to get on board at some point.
We've explored some consolidation
Yeah.
of services. I'll just leave
Right.
it at that at
Yeah.
this point with
Yeah.
Bethany, and I'm meeting with Orange a couple
Right.
weeks. So
Right.
start locally, and then,
Did Beecher join that conversation at all?
They did, and I believe they are starting with just the Power School portion. I guess Amity has a person that's proficient at Power School, and they're going to use Power School, Amity, to do their Power School administration. But I'm not sure about the rest of it.
The what, the Power School?
Power School, I think that's what it's called, right? Power School is what, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the,
It's like a software application
Right.
that they have,
Right.
so.
Anything else, Bob?
yeah, just quickly, the survey. After I was elected, I thought it was important to revisit. We have to hit a reset button on the Country Club of Woodbridge. It's still there, it's still out there. So my first thought was do a survey, and it's going to be a minimal survey at this point. We've had a couple iterations, and I will be meeting with the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday night to get it in its final phase and send it out to all residents. And I hope when you get it, you will participate and send it back. And I have I'm working with Rick Bordeaux, who's used to be in his previous life a statistician and is now a social studies teacher, and he's helping us with this pro bono as an exercise with the school. The students in his statistics class are going to help analyze the data for us and put it together. So, all good stuff.
So please,
Price is right.
anybody who's out
He's
there watching
wonderful.
this, fill the survey out when you
Please.
get it.
Please fill it out.
10% participation.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he said to us, I think at one point, 25% was considered a good return.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so let's go for 30 or 35.
Well, how are you going to promote it to get people to respond?
It's been in the newsletter, and it's going to be sent out. I'm going to talk about it. It's going to be on our website, and I'm hoping people will watch television and know about it's coming.
And sign the library, maybe, because there are a lot of.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
Yep, that's a real good idea.
And at Beecher.
Yep.
And a Beecher.
That's a great idea.
Couple of big
That's a good
statements
idea.
for us.
yeah.
I was going to put signs up at Stephanie's desk, and someone else gave me a great idea that I wrote down, but I can't remember what it was. So that's good. Library and Beecher. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I make another suggestion?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe ask clergy to announce it from the pulpit at our various.
I don't know. Sometimes they get crazed about anything.
Yeah,
I know.
government,
I'm just throwing it out
government
there.
and church and government.
Oh,
It's just answer the survey. Though.
yeah, I know. Exactly.
Right.
Well, I count on all you guys to be ambassadors for this
There
for
you
me,
go.
okay?
Is it all
We
paper?
gotta find out what people
It
are
is.
thinking.
It's all paper.
Yes, it is. We decided the email route. Rick's done this, and his recommendation was paper, and we're going to have a return envelope, which will be a little bit more costly, but in a sense, he said people are more likely to fill it out and put it in an envelope and send it
And it's
back.
going to business. It's going to any grand list.
Households.
Of just households.
Yeah, one per household, but if I guess people want an extra copy, they can come pick one up at Town Hall. It'd be white though.
So it's not,
Finally
it's
decide on
not
that.
property owners. It's
No.
just households.
But
Yeah.
you said to make the ones that are mailed of one color and.
Yeah. There'll
ones
be
that are
like a
another
bright
color.
yellow or something, and then if like Alan, my husband wants to do one, my husband's Alan on TV Land, he can come in and get another one.
Okay.
And
Now,
those will be-
will it
those will
say
be-
that in the instructions?
He has a
I
way
believe it says it
to,
in the cover letter.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
cover letter, okay.
I will double check,
Good.
but I'm pretty sure. I've changed that so many times, that paragraph, I gotta make sure I didn't delete it.
So, I mean, how are you gonna control for people not making copies and just sending in multiple copies?
The idea that the first copy is bright yellow, I was concerned about it. We thought about numbering it. It would be really cost prohibitive.
It's a trade-off
So-
between cost versus,
Okay.
See if we get enough of a response.
We'll come up
first
with
to
a
worry about
funky
that.
color
true.
for the pickup ones, okay, something a little bit different and hope for the best.
Okay, liaison reports.
Thank you.
I think-
Sorry.
That's okay. I think we covered Amity. Basically, their budget increase is, after taking into account the revenues, it's 0.54%. So for us, it's 73,000.
That's unbelievable.
It is. Well, it was 1.97 without that, so. And believe me, that number never sticks, that first number, because Orange will come in and say, we're not approving this, we don't want this, no matter, because again, even with this, they're gonna get banged again because of enrollment numbers, so they're not gonna be happy about this. He's presenting it to the Finance Committee Monday night, Chip is, and, we could approve it Monday night, but Orange will not let that happen.
oh, really, you can approve it Monday, yeah.
Oh, we could.
Yeah.
I'd vote for it.
Yeah.
Kidding me? But they'll never let that happen. They want to talk about it. So Chip will be with us Tuesday night at 6 o'clock to present the budget. And you get to see it firsthand. As far as the current year, they're running about an $840,000 surplus, which is not untypical. Same things, changes in personnel, savings in insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So, but it's always right in front of us. We know exactly where they are month to month, which is fine. The only other thing I'll mention is at the last meeting, it was a very interesting, this was with the Amity meeting, they elected a new chairman. And it was quite interesting. For the past, as long as I can remember, it was Bill Blake, unopposed. And well, this time Bill Blake is gone. He moved. And so.
So he couldn't be elected chairman because he was no longer in the community.
That's right. He's not even on the board anymore.
Wow.
So after Bill left, they named Tom Hurley as acting chairman, which he kind of thought was chairman. But then they made it clear that no, and at the first meeting of the year, we're gonna see who wants to. So three people stepped up, all from Orange. John Belfonte, who's a relatively new member but very sharp. He's chairman of the Finance Committee. Senior moment. Tom Hurley, of course.
Is there a Chris?
Oh, and Chris.
Chris Brown.
I remember Chris.
Chris
yeah.
Brown. He's been there a long time. He's a smart guy too. And so they took a vote, and it was 6-6. And the chairman, Tom Hurley,
6-6.
wouldn't vote. He refused to vote. So they went back and forth. So to move it on, Sheila proposed that they move it to the end of the meeting so people could get on with their lives. I left. And from what I could gather, it was stuck at 6-6. Nobody was moving, so Tom decided to vote for Chris Brown. He did that. Yeah, and he made because he felt he had more experience, and either one of them would be good. John Belfonte's a great guy. So Chris Brown is the new chairman of the Amity Board of Education, and we wish him well. It's responsible, a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of responsibility. So there's no more discussion about disbanding the
Finance Committee?
Yeah.
That was the one reason I was in favor of John. John was totally opposed to that, because sitting on that, he sees it works. It really does. I mean, it really doesn't. No, but I think it's a dead issue.
Okay.
I think it's a dead issue.
That's good.
So that's all goings on at Amity. Of course, they're excited about this other proposal, to move their
Transition
program there.
program.
I think it could work out
It's
well,
good. It's a cost savings.
financially and logistically.
I mean, is it classroom or is it other types of activities?
They
in terms of
learn
use of
life
that?
skills, as I
Yes.
understand, how to set a table, how to write a check,
Yeah, they'll have some classrooms. I think
how
they'll
to do laundry.
have some limited classroom
things.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because really, there's just the community room
And
up there
eventually
and
I'm
so those
hoping-
offices.
so the
on
idea is they
other
may,
side.
they probably have some use of the offices, but the community room would probably be a joint,
I
They
sort
use
of, I
it,
would
we
like to
use
keep
it.
that for
Yeah.
our town use for meeting rooms, or
Right.
somebody wanted to use it for a yoga night, or, something, because it's a beautiful room
Oh, yeah.
with a lovely palladium window and the hardwood floors. I don't want to give that up, but they're agreeing, I think, to share that.
Yeah.
Yes, Tony, I'll make that clear.
Oh, you have anything?
Yeah, the police commission met on a special meeting on the 11th and another special meeting on the 16th. We've had some illness in the commission, and so on and so forth, and weather, and all these things. Police commission's working on their budget. They're hoping for 25 officers next year, one of them funded through Beecher. They've also done a good amount of work on the carport for the police station. I think the architect's looking at it now. They've scheduled an 8:24 session with the Board of Selectmen, which I think is required for zoning.
Right, that was done. Yeah.
Right, and that was
That was
taken.
done retroactively.
Right, we did it
Yeah.
retroactively, and we sent it to Plan and Zoning last week, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That meeting.
And that's really all. Police commission.
So as a point of clarification, so in terms of approved budgets, it was the police and fire commission, I believe, still have to get to.
Police are meeting next week.
Yeah, so police and
Before.
fire is also meeting next
Fire
week.
meets
Monday, yeah.
I think, right?
So
These are
the ones that you have in your
Tuesday.
books are, from the chief, each chief,
Okay.
but still have to go through the commissions.
fire budget does say draft, but the police does not.
Police does not, yeah, right, okay,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the police are meeting Tuesday
yeah, okay.
to finalize it.
So there may be some changes.
That'll be an interesting meeting.
I think the only thing they've really got to decide is on salary.
Salary,
Personnel.
right, yeah.
Personnel.
Personnel, yeah.
Okay. Susan?
So you just gave my fire commission report.
They got bumped because of the holiday.
Right,
So, yeah.
right.
See you Monday.
Library Commission met last week, and I don't think at that point they had submitted their budget. But they voted on it, I believe, and submitted it. Am I correct at that point?
Yep, there was-
And really, that's about
they
it.
submitted yeah.
I don't know, maybe this isn't for you, but for Tony, have we gotten any, I understand that horrific fire they fought in sub-zero weather, some of the equipment got damaged. Has there
Right.
been any update on that?
There has been a series of purchase orders that have come through for various things. And so, but we don't have a tally yet of the total.
Insurance wouldn't cover something like that?
We put in a claim for it.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
We're gonna give it a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are extreme conditions.
Because of the
Everything
conditions,
froze.
yeah.
It was,
And certain things may be covered and certain things may not be,
Yeah, okay.
but it's, you know,
you had to do it.
Oh, yeah,
terrible
absolutely,
conditions.
absolutely. Andy, anything?
Yeah, Rec Commission met just after New Year's. Nothing major to report. We spent most of the meeting reviewing their assumptions for the operating budget. The one thing is for the outdoor pool, they're trying to find a vendor for the food service. Last year's vendor is not coming back, so LaDonna had some meetings set up to chat about that. But all the programs are going well. Things are humming.
Okay. Sandy?
Okay,
Just one tonight, huh?
that's just one, I know, it's amazing. Thank you, Susan. On the 30th of December, there was a pipe break at Beach Road School. And this was not something they ever expected to happen, since most of their infrastructure is totally new. And ServPro was called, and they came right away, and they did a great job in terms of cleaning things up. What they've determined is that they had put out to bid maintenance of the equipment, and they went with the lowest bid. And it turns out that they feel that it's these individuals or this company that really didn't know how to service the equipment. So they have gone back to MCOR, which is the company that actually installed the equipment, and they have now have a service maintenance arrangement with them. It will be more expensive. The damage that was done, there's a $5,000 deductible that needs to be paid. And so they're in the process of trying to figure out exactly how much this is going to increase, their expenses. They were able to use one of their grants to fund the special ed OT and PT, so that was going to result in further, reductions of their deficit. But now with these other expenses, it may be a wash. And I guess they are hiring for their new maintenance position. I guess it did not work out in terms of trying to work with Amity. But we can ask more about that when we get our budget presentation. The new company also, MCOR, is going to do a consultation on all the service contracts that they have and the state of the equipment, so they know exactly where they stand. But that wasn't anything they anticipated or were happy about, especially since the school was closed at that point. So, and it did do some damage to the S-wing.
I'm going to speak about this after. Go finish your report.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the board did approve a budget, which is probably in this.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
And they're coming in at 1.94% for the Beecher programs, and then a 0.64 or 74% increase for special education. So, I think it's the superintendent who needs to present this to everyone. I don't want to go into details
Yes.
about that, but they did a lot of good work in terms of looking at where they could reduce funds, no longer continue programs. Basically, their enrollment, the projected enrollment for this year was 811 students. They're at 842. So they have to add another classroom next year in addition to what they've already done for this year. So it's really going to be a balance of the new requirements that they have to meet in addition to other increases. So you'll see with the budget actually the changes that they've made. So that's it.
Okay, I guess speaking as a taxpayer, probably, and a Board of Finance member, I'm concerned that this happened. You spend $13 million. You don't expect this to happen. And to hear that, I had heard that there was an employee there who knew the system and he left, he retired, whatever.
Retired.
They didn't necessarily, what's his name? You know?
Greg.
It was Greg.
Greg, yeah.
And they didn't necessarily replace him.
Right.
And from what I'm hearing, I'm going to get into some of the back and forth I've had with Andy Esposito and Jeff Kaufman, who are on the building committee, who are not happy. Supposedly, any HVA system, in order to operate properly, has to bring in air from the outside to mix with air from the inside. And the the control that let the air from the outside was left wide open. So all this air came in and froze pipes. And there's a lot of damage there, from what I can gather, a lot. So Andy had called me. Andy's got a lot of expertise in this area. And he's been talking to Jeff because they were on the building committee together, and Jeff actually was the chairman. And they're concerned also that this shouldn't happen. I mean, it shouldn't have happened. Whoever they want to say it's this fault or it's the.
Right.
I mean, to hear you say that they hired the lowest bidder, and then this happens is even more upsetting to me. Yes.
These were overhead pipes, is that what they were?
Yeah.
And they were carrying, these were water pipes?
Yeah.
And
Where was the location of
It's in the
these
South
toilets?
School, right?
Yeah, in the S wing.
Oh, in the S wing.
Did it
Okay.
affect the pool? I think, did somebody say it affected the pool? Or, I don't know.
I don't think it affected the
I didn't hear
pool.
anything about that.
But yeah, I mean, Bob Gilbert was at the Board of Selectmen meeting. I saw it on TV, and he was kind of vague. He didn't say too much, and all he said was, "Well, we have a $5,000 deductible." Well, it's a $5,000 deductible, but it could also impact our insurance rates. If it's a major claim, it could have an
major
impact
claim, yes.
on our insurance rates.
Yeah.
And so Jeff and Andy, I mean, Andy is completely perplexed, and he's saying what I'm saying, that taxpayers made a $13 million, I've got an email he sent me.
Yeah.
Taxpayers made a $13 million investment in Beecher Road School based on the recommendation of the Beecher Building Committee, of which I was a member. So he feels this responsibility. They have a right to know exactly what happened and be assured it will not happen again. And he asks questions of how much damage occurred and what is the dollar cost, which we don't know. Was it human error? What do our building engineers have to say? I'm just reading what Andy wrote to me and to Jeff. Was it a design or mechanical failure? I don't think so. Did they contact John Rice, the consulting engineer? Did they contact the general contractor? So then they're getting to something else, which I haven't heard, and I asked Tony about it. He doesn't know, and there's a discussion about something being wrong with the pool. Have you heard anything about that?
No, that
Something's-
was not brought up at all.
This came up that there's maybe something wrong with the pool area, so we got to find out about that.
Yeah.
And then there's some concerns about $2 million we spent on security. There are times when the doors are left wide open and people can come in and go out. They don't have to sign their sign out. And that's troubling. And that's bona fide. So Andy and Jeff are talking about reconvening the building committee to get to the bottom of exactly what happened and to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I think there's going to be more to come on this. And I think, for the sake of taxpayers, I think we have a right to know how this happened. I mean, it's brand. I mean, 13. It's not even 2 years into this thing, and from what I hear, and I haven't heard it's a lot of damage. We got all this new furniture and whatever, and from what I hear, it's quite a bit of damage. Well, I think it's not finished yet, is it? Have they finished the cleanup? You know?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, it's a long-term cleanup. So I think that we're going to be hearing more about this because people are very interested in finding out what happened. So, and again, I think as taxpayers, we have a right to know too. So you just don't expect this to happen. You got to. Okay, I hate to keep saying Amity Beecher, but here's Amity that I have 3 buildings, massive buildings, and not a problem. So it's just troubling that they had this major problem, and I think we need to find out exactly what happened.
But there was a construction at Amity many years ago that did have problems.
Oh, maybe many years ago. I'm talking about.
I mean, the original expansion was
Yeah.
fraught with
I had 3
problems.
children who went through Amity,
Yeah,
not one of them
yeah.
used the auditorium,
I'm talking about, yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
not one.
Oh, no, the auditorium was shut down.
I mean, there was.
I'm talking about,
Every
I'm
one of
talking about everything that was done under
Now it's gorgeous.
John Brady, right? All the
Right.
John Brady era
Right.
came in and all this.
But you're right,
so-
there was that time
Right.
when things were not as stellar as they could have been.
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Well, they truly, if I remember, they let maintenance go up there. They were trying to get a building, and they let maintenance go. And you can't, that's one thing you can't do.
If I'm not
Amity
mistaken,
when
it
that
resulted,
happened,
it resulted in a lawsuit against the contractor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my, I think we'll hear more about this, because Jeff and Andy are on it.
Well, and I think we should actually ask for more information,
Yes.
both from the Board of Finance and the Board of
Well, I think the
Selectmen.
building, it makes sense for the building
Building
committee to get a report and then let them bring it to
The
us.
building committee is a specific designation.
It's not reconvened, they want to get back
Process.
together, yeah.
But you can
It's not official.
reconvene, yeah, it wouldn't be an
Or
official
start a
building
new
committee,
one.
but you could just have them get together and replace it.
ad hoc. or
Yeah,
something,
something,
right,
yeah.
okay. I didn't, when that. when you
Yeah, no, I don't know,
said
but that's what Andy's
That's
saying.
it. I don't know.
Reconvene, I don't know, yeah, I don't know if you can either.
Yeah.
I think what he's talking about is, if I remember, it was Andy, Jeff, Margaret Hamilton, you?
No, the building committee was Jeff,
Sheila.
Jeff, Sheila, Jason, Andy, and Greg.
Greg.
Not Greg, Coyne.
Coy, okay.
Yeah.
But you used to sit in on the meetings too sometimes?
It's
I did.
certainly questions.
Staff
that should
did,
be
yeah.
answered.
I sat in on all
So-
the meetings, yeah.
I mean, I'd like to make a suggestion, since we're gonna be together with the Board of Selectmen for the next 3 meetings.
Yeah.
Can we ask Bob to come? And,
Well, he's coming
He's
Tuesday night.
He'll be coming
Okay.
Tuesday.
night,
So maybe we should let him know.
Let's
Let
get
him know
an
ahead of
email
time.
and say
Good
we're
Know
idea.
him ahead of time.
We'll let them know that
Okay,
you should
there will be
anticipate a full
questions about
report.
that.
Yeah, it's not gonna be,
based on this meeting and
yeah,
Right, okay.
there's a lot of people have a lot of questions.
bring your answer sheets.
Well, I suspect he has a lot of questions, if it's still in the
Yeah.
analysis
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
so,
I-
yeah.
I don't think they're completely back in all the classrooms.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
No, no,
I don't
that's
think
what I
I'm
heard.
I'm sure they're still trying to
slowly
figure it out
moving. They
themselves.
don't know
I
for
suspect.
sure. There's still some outstanding
no, I'm
issues.
Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. See you Tuesday.